The operation generally, what it is we bring the logs in on a forklift and put them on what we call bunks here. We roll the logs onto this almost like a little train, and we cut them up into bigger or smaller blocks, so we can cut them over here on a bolter saw. Here.
How old is a tree like that? That's a pretty old tree.
That could be a 250-year-old tree. I mean, you gotta count them.
So you're getting a 250-year-old bowl.
The bowls are antique before we even make them. So the bolter saw is where we cut the blocks up because we have to cut them basically in half.
That way.
Essentially. So essentially, we try to get as big a block as possible out of the log, and then we find the center and we drill a hole. And that's how we mount it onto the lathe here, which will show you the process. He's already drilled it. He's going to bring it over and mount it. And we can ask him to slow it down so you see it. Guys, want to hold for a second? Yep. Yep. Okay. I'm going to film you here. Now this is the first cut. It's the most dangerous because the block is not balanced. And this is what we call we're creating a ball shell, which we sell for firewood later. But this is really the first cut where you want to peel the block off in essence. And this will be the outside cut for the biggest bowl. What's unique about this is, and what's different than how you would turn a bowl in your home shop, is that we make a set of bowls out of a block of wood. So it's a nested set of bowls.
That you're turning?
Anywhere between probably 75 years and 150 years.
No, I mean, how long has it been drying?
Oh, not at all. It's
green.
Fresh. It's green.
It's green wood.
We want it green because we want the moisture in the wood. That helps actually aids the cutting process. And drying is our problem because if the wood dries too fast, it'll crack. And that's one of our biggest problems, which I'll show you how we deal with that. That's a very interesting next step in the process.
Great.
After we turn them, we have to dry them.
All right, now they're cutting out this biggest bowl.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the biggest one of this block. If that block of wood had been big enough, we would start with a 20-inch bowl, then cut a 17 and a 15, and that's a 15-inch bowl right there.
Yeah.
Everything gets saved. The sawdust the farmers buy for bedding for cows, and then the scrap wood goes to the firewood pile, and people come, or we deliver firewood to people.
I've been there.
Yeah. Most people up in the valley know our firewood better than they know the rest of us. Now that's a problem. That bowl right there got a knot in it, so we got to throw that out, unfortunately.
Yeah.
That's nothing. There's nothing we can do with that one, unfortunately. That's a
reject.
A reject. Somebody will burn that in their fireplace. Yeah. So actually, this last block, we didn't get a 15 out of that block. That was a smaller block. We like to start with at least a minimum of a 15. The bowls we saw downstairs being turned, we actually have to stack these every day. At the end of the day, all those bowls downstairs that come on the lathe have to be stacked. If we left them stacked overnight, we'd come back and they'd all be cracked. They'd be all junk. So what we try to do is, when a wood dries, it dries through the grain.
Yeah.
Okay. So the bowl actually dries from this end and this end, and so what happens is when the bowl dries, it becomes oblong. There's no such thing as a round bowl. They're all oblong. In the drying process, we stack them
so grain
to grain, and what happens is as these bowls expand a little bit, this tightens up. You can feel right here. There's tension in here right now. So we're trying to hold the bowls to hold each other, to hold the shape as it dries. And this drying process will take about 3 or 4 weeks. So in 3 or 4 weeks, we'll come back and take this stack down, take it down to the sanding operation, which is Linda is currently sanding. That's a 15-inch bowl she's doing right now, and she starts in the bottom of the bowl and works her way up. The bowl moves, that moves. And it's very difficult to follow. Again, this bowl isn't round; it's oval, which makes it much more difficult to sand. So you
you have to play this like a piano, don't you?
Yes.
Just where the irregularities of the bowl itself.
Now Linda's already sanded these once. This is the second time through. Third time through, okay. She corrects me. I think as Cindy described, we sand the balls 3 times in the insides and the outsides. So this is the finished sanding.
Now I see why you have the big tower.
The dust collection system. You can see the dust going into the dust collection system. And this is essentially the same process. We're doing the outsides of the bowls. And again, this is the 3rd time through. We've sanded this before. And we try to get it so the sand belts follow the contour of the bowl. So you've got to adjust the machine for each different size bowl. And again, this is a little less skill than sanding the inside of the bowl, but the operator has to be just as aware, because if it's not adjusted right, you can ruin a bowl like that.
And it's a foot lever.
Yeah, she's operating with some foot levers.
Foot lever down here with a right foot.
Yep.
It seems to be pretty active.
The other operation we've got to do is we've got to sand this edge right here, which is this machine right here. It comes down and it'll sand the edge. Now Linda's going to show the operation here. She'll show us how it's done. She actually will do both operations. She'll sand the edge of the bowl, and then she'll go over here and she'll do the edge. I'll turn this on too, then, Linda. I'll turn this on too. That's being held by
vacuum held.
That's also vacuum held too. That's one of the things that Doug built into all these machines was the vacuum holders. That makes it a lot easier.
Well, it seems to me very clever to be able to figure out how to even hold the vacuum.
Yeah, right.
Because it has the variable surfaces that you're dealing with here.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a challenge, but he's done a great job with that. Now she's going to put the bottom on. She'll lift it up. Ever so slightly. If you sand too far, you'll sand right through the bottom of the bowl and you make too thin a bowl. So now she's got a nice bottom for it. And that bottom is important because you want the bowl to sit on the table level. So that bottom is crucial. But you don't want to make them too...
Well, here we are in Peggy's art center, where she puts her own personal touches to these bowls. And Peggy, what are you doing right now?
I am laying down the first coat of what we call the earth bowl. The earth bowl is just a lot of really nice organic earthy colors. So my first coat here is a color called quinacridone gold, which is a synthetic fluid acrylic paint that I love. It has a nice mysterious color to it.
It's very warm. Very warm
It
color.
is. So my next move is some Jenkins green, this is a lethally strong color that, when I say lethal, of course it's not toxic, but it's very strong. So a little bit goes a long way. The next move is some red oxide.
Look at that.
Now the red oxide is one of the only full-bodied paints that we use. All the others are transparent. So the red oxide gets blended into the green. I really shouldn't be showing you this, you know?
Bleed them right together.
Okay, see that knot? It's got to go. So there you go. Then a little bit of gold to sort of give it a sheen. Doesn't look very good right now, but give it a minute.
And those colors kind of float into each other, don't they? And,
They do. Now I go back to the Quin Gold. Sometimes you can do it in one coat, sometimes you have to go two. It really depends.
Every bowl is really different though, isn't it?
It is. Every bowl has its own personality. The grain of the bowl dictates how the paint will be received, and it also dictates for us how the bowl is going to be painted. When you get an absolutely clear bowl, which is gold to us, then it gets either yellow or orange or something bright. When you have these saddle marks on either side, which I don't know if you noticed
Yeah,
from
I
the
see
beginning.
sort of a darkening.
That's the heartwood. That dictates that it's got to be a dark color. And then when you get knots that won't go away, like this, you can either try and color them up with opaque paint, because some people perceive that to be a flaw, or you can just let it shine through, which I personally like to do.
Adding character, of
Adding
course.
character, and then if anybody has a problem with it, I bring it to the farmer's market,
And
where
it goes quick.
where it's sold for about 30% less than at other places, and you can live with the knots.
You sell a
Yeah.
lot of these at the farmer's market. I've seen them
I
down
do.
there
I
many
love the
times.
farmer's market for a lot of reasons, but one is that I get to see firsthand what people buy. I also get to see their whole choosing process unfold. Like, they're drawn to the colors, so they go for the color, and then they end up walking away with something that has no color at all. And then a year later, they get their color nerve up, and they come back and they start getting color. So it's an interesting process. It also allows me to test the market for some new ideas. I'm doing a base coat on the rim for the earth bowl. This is red oxide. It's going down over the raw sanded wood, and then it's going to get a skim coat of a metallic gold over the top. So what this red oxide does is provide a really grounding base for the gold, so that the gold doesn't look quite so brash against the raw wood. So we're going to ride the inside edge first and get it nice and covered. There, the inside is done. Now we have to ride the outside rail, which you just can do like this. I don't
You
know
have to
if
be pretty careful that doesn't run, don't you? Down,
You have to-
down inside the bowl.
You have to get the right consistency between water and paint, so that it flows but it doesn't set up. And of course, the edge of the bowl itself produces a natural end to the paint.
I like the little designs along the edge here. They're just really neat.
This is a more simple design. This is what we call color bars, just our word for it. They can be very involved or very simple. And George is the queen of color bars over here, so that's what she's doing at the moment. So maybe we can go have a look.
Well, we're looking at George painting on the bars now, the queen of bars. What color are we doing this, George?
This is a little red oxide and that maroon one. This is the first stage of them. And I go over them, I do them all a second time, and the color comes up nice and red. Right now, you have to sort of kind of.
So you eyeball it pretty much, don't you?
Right.
Yeah.
Kind of a north, south,
That's
east,
great.
west kind of thing. I'm not using a very good brush here.
It's amazing how much handwork you
Right.
is involved with these.
Yeah.
It's just absolutely, each piece is a
These are
personally hand-painted piece and not
Yeah.
off any production line.
These are a little rough of the first go around. The second go around, they have to be kind of all tied in.
So you give them another coat later?
Yep, they all, I sand the rim so it's nice and smooth underneath, and then place them, and then I do a second coat.
Yeah, each bowl gets handled 16 times.
Is that right?
Up here, there's 16 different stages that they go through before they get their finish. So it's very labor intensive, but the fact that we do
Obviously.
large color runs at each time, you know, makes it a little more economical. It's the downstairs of the pavilion. The pavilion is the name of this building.
This building, okay.
The one that used to be a tent.
It's got all sorts of signs out here. Little John's is pub and in. Can we
I
get
know,
a drink in here?
I know a guy that makes great signs. Watch the ice.
Okay. Good morning,
Hi,
ladies.
good morning. Or good noon.
Yeah. This is a new look.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is Cindy.
Hi, Cindy.
Hi.
She is the utensil queen.
And you do each one of these by hand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another hand operation.
Oh,
Yeah. She does the, usually does the handles first and the tips second, and then a black band connecting the two.
Sure. I
But
see
in
it
s-
on that. Yeah.
In some cases, there is no black band. There are just black tips.
And do you do this little wing thing here on it as well?
Peg does.
Oh, Peg does
Peg does
that.
her special designs. Yeah.
Yeah, the gold
Wait.
part is the same with the bowls. You know, we
What is that little for the little bars? You do
Um,
that too, don't you?
do it on top of the color bars,
Yeah,
right?
mhm. Yeah. And that's all just your brush.
It's actually a pen.
It's a pen.
It's a pen. I wish I were good enough to use a brush, but modern technology has created pens that have a very consistent flow, and it makes it a lot easier to work with. This is Suzanne Allstrand, and she's been here for over 7 years, working like crazy to make these finishes just like glass. And I hired her because I saw the way she handled pumpkins. She carves the most beautiful pumpkins on Halloween. And I said, anybody that can handle a round thing like that has got to be able to do magic with bowls. And I mean, look, she just goes so fast. It's like, how does anybody know what they're doing? But she can spot a bubble or a hair or an imperfection on a bowl and fix it like nobody. The other thing that Suzanne does is touch-up. When George and I do bloopers upstairs and it looks like a lost cause, comes down here and Suzanne makes us look good. So this is really the secret behind the whole process, is making the finish not only look good, but hold up to wear. And there can be as many as 6 coats of a finish on each side with several hand sandings in between. So a lot more work goes into the finish than into the bowl itself. This pattern is called the wedding. It's one of the more popular ones for wedding gifts because it's non-committal on the inside. It's just a kind of a mahogany looking color, although the original is a white wood. The back is royal blue. That's cold from the closet, sorry. Then, so this is the 15-inch size that serves 6 to 8 people. The 12-inch size serves 4. The 10-inch size is currently unavailable, sorry. And then these little 8-inch guys
Individuals.
are a special order for a wedding. And then the servers match.
Beautiful ensemble. What lucky bride will be getting that?
I'm Dave Jones, and my real job is working at the phone company for Wakefield Champlain Valley Telecom, and all my spare time is spent dealing with a dog class. So we train and also show our own dogs and do training for other people, and that occupies every second of our lives. Dog training classes, I call them behavioral classes. They're really not obedience classes in the context. Obedience is behavior, and we do about 60% household behavior, get along with the family type stuff, and the other part of it, the 40%, is sit down, stay, your average, I want my dog to come when it's called thing. But classes are offered on a as-needed basis. I really don't schedule anything per se, but I welcome phone calls, and when I get enough people, I'll put a class together, and we'll get a time and we'll have some fun. It's strictly positive training. There are no aversives or correctional type training. It's all done on a positive or reward system. The reward system is very important because dogs that don't know what to do, you can't really correct them for doing what they don't know. So we teach them what they should know, and we do it in a positive way. We use a device called the clicker, and simply that marks a behavior, if you will, or the progress of a behavior, and it makes a snapping noise, kind of like the old kids' toys at birthday parties and so on. And once you click, you basically treat and reward the dog, and the dog learns how to work for that click, if you will. And they start using their own brain, thereby offering behaviors, if you will. And when they offer behaviors, you capture the dog's attention and your training takes off. Too bad. Yes. Okay, good dog. Believe it or not, that was the start of a stay. It was very, very small. Okay, I'm gonna, give me just a couple of minutes here. You don't need to sit. That's fair game. I held that click for a bit. I don't know how you're doing with that, but I was able to, she had a couple seconds there. That's fair. I'm teaching a new behavior. I can't expect 20 seconds. I can't expect 5 seconds. I'm lucky if I get a second.
Is a dog ever too old?
Never too old and never too young. When we have puppies in our house, they start training as soon as their eyes are open, their ears are open, and their sense of smell is there from the day they're born. But they can move around and start noticing and responding to their environment. Once they do that, which is typically around the 3.5 to 4.5 week period of time in their life, that training, if you will, just kind of starts taking a hold there. And obviously you don't teach sit down, stay at that young age, but you certainly start letting the dog know that they're in our environment, and it's okay to be in our environment. We want you in our environment, but there's certain rules that have to apply here. And you do that in a very, very subtle, non-punishment format, and the dog in your work is minimized greatly. Now, most people don't get their dogs at that age and shouldn't, for good reasons, partly for development of the puppy. But so typically when somebody brings home an 8-week-old puppy, they really should start that training the day the puppy comes there. And it starts with house training, it starts with meals, it starts with all those things, going to the bathroom in a regular spot, if you will, and on command even at that age. So the training can really begin at easily at 8 weeks.
Mm-hmm. What's some advice you might give to someone thinking about getting a dog?
Oh, I have a lot of advice for that. We all, either from our childhood past or maybe we've seen something on TV or even the internet now, which probably is a bigger gathering of people watching that, but we all tend to react to what we see and what we might think we want. It's really important to pick out at least 6 breeds from appearance, if you will. That's fine, but you really need to get into what the breed's about, what it was bred for, what it's going to be like as a puppy and what it's going to be like as an adult. And the only way to really do that is to search out good breeders, and good breeders will always be happy to invite you to their place, take a look at what they have for dogs, and then give you an idea what these dogs are like, knowing full well that it may or may not be the right choice for you. And when it comes to the all-American breeds, or the mutts, if you will, it's important to try and find out as much background on those dogs so that we don't end up with something that's got a little more of a shaky history, if you will. And there's ways, certain humane societies do a certain amount of testing, so you can get a little more insurance there too, and they're easy to work with. So it's really, really important you don't go to the pet store, find something in the window and buy it. And you should never buy anything at the pet store anyways. It's puppy mill stuff. So.
Good girl! I wasn't supposed to teach him that, though.
I'm Bruce Sklar, and we're in the Harwood Union Music Department, and we're about to go into the studio where the music tech classes mostly take place. So come on in. We have at present 2 computer workstations, which have similar software in both of them. One of them is hooked up to the stage so that we can do multi-track recording of all the concerts here, plus do our own studio-style recording where we do produce an album or 2 every year of very high quality. We have the ability to produce the entire thing here, soup to nuts. The only thing we generally at this point use any outside contracting for is for the actual duplication of the CDs if we want to get volumes of them. And I'll get into a little bit more of that in a second. The other workstation really uses the same software, but we use it more for what's called MIDI projects, which integrate synthesizers both with outside of the computer and software inside of the computer with live sound. This particular station is not hooked up to the stage, so we don't do the more involved live recording projects with this. This is more for piece-by-piece production, again, using synthesizers for various, well, pretty much any type of music that you want to conceive. Where we have done film projects here in the past too. We did a senior video last year that was about a half an hour long. That was quite a long project where we did the video using iMovie, but we did all the sound production using our professional software, and it was a long project, but it came out very well, and we are looking to do more of those in the future. We're hoping that we will have more workstations in here by next year. The one drawback is that generally classes between 6 and 7 kids with 2 computers, it can be a little hard to keep everybody busy at the same time. The focus for at least the first year is to make sure that anybody who leaves the class can come in here, turn the stuff on, and, well, for instance, the final exam is they've got an hour to produce a 30-second piece of music, at which the end of the class they hand me the burned CD of what they've done. So really soup to nuts, you know, conception using everything in here, and it gets pretty gets a little hairy because nothing is necessarily that intuitive. That there really is a process of learning that has to go on in order for somebody to be able to really get in and use everything in here. There's a sequence of events and a sequence of knowledge that has to be gained.
Are these all music students that take the class?
Not necessarily, no. And as a matter of fact, the course can be taken either for music credit or for tech credit as well. And the way we deal with that is basically if they want to do a musical project and they don't play an instrument, is that I function as their studio musician. So I'll play the instrument itself while they are being the engineer, because that's really the important part here, is to be able to understand all the workings of the software and the hardware and how they function together. So no, we've got I don't know what the balance is. I mean, it is mostly music students right now, people that are also you know, playing in the music department, but there are more and more that are joining up that aren't, which is great because it's nice to start opening up the facilities down here to other kids that generally don't spend a lot of time down here. A lot of the music students are down here, 3 or 4 periods a day, either taking classes or practicing or whatever, and it's good to, start spreading out what we do to the rest of the general population of the school. Come on in. We'll start over here. Let's come on in and shut the door. I think Katie is gone today. That's right. She's down in New England. But this is a MIDI project that's actually from another class, but this demonstrates the flexibility of using just the computer and a synthesizer. There's been no actual live recording in this particular piece. It's all been done with synthesizer and the software. And in this particular situation, the student was the engineer, so she was sitting at the console doing all the necessary button pushing and mouse clicking to make the thing work, and I was the person just banging out the notes on the keyboard, one instrument at a time. Now it should, there we go. Now we should, so we recorded that first, all the way through the drum sounds. Then we came back and put the bass, piano, and the solo in, one step at a time. I'm not sure if this is the final project or not that you guys did, but this was one where both the live and the MIDI was there. This was Chris and Vinny's project, which involved so the trumpet and the saxophone were recorded live, but before we did that, we recorded sort of a typical jazz trio in the synthesizer using piano, bass, and drums for that tune, which is Sonny Rollins' Doxy, and that integrated both things. We did a studio recording of our jazz band, and
it's out of style, honey child, jump for joy. Don't you grieve, little Eve. All the hounds I do believe have been killed. Ancient thrill, jump for joy. Have you seen pastures grooving?
our band is excellent. It's I can't believe how much I enjoy working with the jazz bands here. We took both to the Flynn, the A band and the B band, and they perform marvelously. I believe the A band is certainly, and I don't think anybody would disagree, if not the best, one of the 3 best bands in the state of Vermont as far as high school bands, there's no doubt. A real earmark of that is that we did put into the all-state jazz band, out of 17 kids that get in statewide, 4 are Harwood students statewide, 2 are first alternates. So 6 kids have got into really what is the most competitive situation, certainly for jazz, but even beyond because of the small size of the group. That in 3 years of having the program the way it is, we've gone to having maybe one person every other year at best to being, I mean, the percentage is pretty phenomenal. I don't know any other school that's doing that well. Some of it's luck of the draw, obviously. 3 years from now, 4 years from now, we could hit a drought of players. It certainly happens. It happens at the best of schools. But we do have a good program, and that will continue no matter what. But right now, we're very, very strong.
Like I said, which time? I was road foreman for 17 years.
Oh yeah?
I got done in August this last summer. They got short-handed, so I came back for the winter. Right now, we're just trying to keep the roads open for right now and just hitting the worst spots. About anything we can do.
When do you think you'll be getting to the back roads?
Well, I've already been around them on once.
How many trucks are in the fleet for Waitsfield?
3.
How many drivers?
3 of us.
So who relieves you?
Nobody. We don't have any reliefs.
Get any kind of rest?
Once in a while. I guess we're getting out of here, I don't know, whenever. We'll be back at 2, 3 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Was nice, the party was pumping. And everybody having a ball. Until the fellas started in calling. And the girls respond to the call. I have a boom and shout out. Who let the dogs out? 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 I see the dance people had a ball, cause Billy Fountains get out. Get back your feet, bash your feet, get back you feet, yes, get on well. I tell myself I'm man, no get angry. Two Eddie cars calling them K9. Hey! But they tell me, hey man, start up the party. You put a woman in front and a man behind. I have a woman shout out, who let the dogs out? 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 Say, a doggy is nothing if he don't have a bone. Oh doggy, hold your bone. Oh doggy, hold it. A doggy is nothing if he don't have a bone. Oh doggy, hold your bone. Oh doggy, hold it.
Look at the size of that thing.
Who let the dogs out? 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 I see the dance people had a ball, cause Billy Fountains get out. Get back your feet, bash your feet, get back you feet.
Holy smokes!
Fire my dog, the party is on. I gotta get my groove, got my mind, I'm gone. Do you see the rays coming from my eye? Walking through the prison, Digimon is breaking them down. Me and am a white talk, short, dealing, can't see color, any caliber do. I think I knew that's why they call me Pitbull. Cause I'm the man of the land with